Hello all you wonderful people, Kasey Thren, self-proclaimed deer wizard here. This is episode 8.2 of the QPod, 150 acre transformation, start to, well, not quite start to finish, but we'll go along with and explain what we're doing along this process. Okay, timber harvest has already started on this. I did a plan for the owners in beginning of February and March. And they like the plan. These are older gentlemen, so they're late 60s, early 70s, and we needed a quick transformation on this property. Most of the time you do these plans and they take years and years to get the bulk of the work done. Well, I'm going to try to get the bulk of the work done in 1 year. Actually, 1 summer. Disclaimer here, there is always going to be maintenance to these habitat work, because if you're trying to steer deer, guide deer, you are going to be putting in maintenance, whatever that may be, mowing, rebuilding things, beds, obviously food plots. So there's going to be maintenance with this, but hopefully we'll get it laid out so the maintenance is quick and easy. Well, maybe not easy, but efficient. So I'll throw up my Onyx map of this, and I'll try to do my best to explain these sections. So what I did was I took the 150 acre and divided it into 6 25 acre sections. And I tied it all together, but I took each section thinking maybe one hunter could hunt each section. But that doesn't mean that the deer have everything available in each section. For the most part, I'm going to give the deer the middle of the property. It's where most of the food plots are going to go. And then there's going to be deer trails, green trails is what I'm calling them, parallel throughout the entire property. So making circles, the deer can make circles around the property, have food, cover the entire time. There's different types of trees and everything. So there's some clear-cut sections of aspen. There's some other sections of oak. There's some other sections of white pine. So there's a little bit of everything that we're doing here. And I'm going to try to tie it all in together. A little selling point for myself when I make this plan and consult on this plan and liaison the timber cut. And I'm able to help do the work, put in the food plots and put in the bedding and put in these green trails. I can also do the maintenance on them. But what I also do in the end, I'm setting up blind locations, and we're, trying to put ambush areas to those blind locations, whether it be a bow stand or a gun stand. But I'm also going to put up trail cameras around this, and it goes to my phone, and I can monitor the property. Not the greatest, but I spent a lot of time on the property and what I want the deer to do. So I'm going to be monitoring the deer activity on here as well. It'll give me an idea of how many deer's using the property. Not too accurate, but it'll give me a little idea. But also an idea of where I can set the hunters to hunt and locate them and say, hey, I think this is going to be a good spot. Go to this spot, go to this section, go to that section. So this is a complete property management plan with this particular piece. So what we've done different, and I think what most people might do is whatever the forester or the loggers recommend, or the timber buyers. When it comes to aspen, they want to clear cut it or select cut. You get into trouble sometimes if you are in a spot where it should be 90 to 95% or even 100% clear cut, and they don't do that. You're not going to get the regeneration back that you are hoping for. Because what I want to come back, and I'll show you right here, in this pocket is where they started and cut mostly aspen, and we're going to creep this aspen into these other areas of the clear cut. I want it thick as thieves, because the bucks are going to absolutely love it. All wildlife is going to love it. There's going to be green trails going through this thick aspen. They're going to have places to run through. They're going to be places to bed, and there's going to be places to rub their antlers. So that's this section right here. You see a few of the white pine is standing. We're not taking too many white pine right now. We may change that. This plan could be changed as we go. It's written in the contract. So as of right now, that's what that's going to be. Behind me is going to be clear-cut aspen. Again, on Onyx, you see a blue mark. That's where I'm standing. And this is the beginning of what I call a wallow, low area. You can see some hemlocks, some other different types of trees. This kind of runs through the middle of the property, winds around, and the bucks absolutely love these types of areas. It's lower ground, it's a little wet, sometimes wetter than others. Probably in the summer it probably will dry up a little bit, but it's been pretty wet since I've been here in February. And we're pretty much going to leave this alone. We're going to leave it for the deer. And we're creating a lot of edge with this. We're going to be having trails in through it and parallel to it. And then obviously going by these ambush locations of that I got laid out. I didn't get it on camera, but I was just walking through this where they've started to cut. It's about, I think they're 3 full days into this. Deer are just laying up in and around here to get, eating on these leaves and eating on this, what they've cut down so far. I'm talking to the operator, they just huddle right around this. He was cutting and they were just waiting for the stuff to fall. They can't reach it. They can't eat it. Just keep that in mind when you're out there in the woods. Shouldn't be able to see through your woods. I should have took a before picture. Maybe I'll get a section here of how far you can see through this, even with the leaves coming up right now. When this is done, you're not going to be able to see through it, except where I want the deer to see through it. All right, topography also is a determining factor in some of this. A lot of these, top of these little knolls, I'm clearing and putting some plots on or bedding. Most of them are going to be plots. Some of them are going to be bedding. I'm walking up to one right now. But that's why on this, so that's south, this is north behind me. You can see the sun in my face in the afternoon. That's why I wanted a lot of this on the back side of this hill, clear cut, because if you don't, and if you leave too many trees up in the shade here, you won't get enough sunlight down here. But this is pretty much all clean, all clear. Okay, here's a future ambush spot. That's the tree I picked. It's a tri-maple. I wanted to cut a lot of the maple because maple is just one of the best deer regeneration there is. But it's also a nice camouflage bow spot. Now look behind it. What you see, a lot of the white pine. Ideally, I want the deer out in front of this, obviously, and the deer looking this way. This is on a good wind. So be on a good southeast, north wind. That's kind of one of the trails coming up through. Gonna follow this out to the main food plot. Probably gonna be a lot of deer bedding up in here. I won't try to turn too fast here, but then we got trail this way, and that goes back around. And in between here will be a nice thick, I think, aspen. And then that loops around back to the front, to the food plots. And then over here will also be deer trails paralleling these. And ideally, I would really like it to be that high of brush and whatnot. But when they cut it and the processor comes through, they're going to be leaving the tops, obviously, kind of like that. So I'm going to have they're going to leave me some good camouflage. And working with the foresters so closely, or the loggers so closely, and the excavators so closely, we're trying to move this stuff not very, like, once. Instead of having to move all this stuff different times, we are saving a lot of time and money of having how they're laying this out. And I had a little bit of say in that, but they got to lay it out most efficient for them, but also for later work, it's going to be pretty efficient as well. All right, that's my update for today. We got a lot of cutting, probably a couple months worth. We're going to be cutting close to 100 acres. Now there's a beaver pond lake that takes out about a 15-acre chunk. There's that wallow that I just mentioned, taking out about probably 5, maybe 7 acres. And then there's these islands I left, and I'll talk more about the islands in future episodes or future little pods, and why we're doing them and where. And then I'll talk about the food plots and the other locations, and just picking up the ambush spots. We got excavating to do, we got stumps to pull, level ground, trails to clean, to plant. Hopefully we'll get food plots in still this year yet. Thanks for watching. Hey, please share, like. Hopefully you can learn something along this pod as we go along. And I appreciate you watching. God bless you. God bless the troops. And God bless the USA.